Okay, I'll try this. I think we're good. By the time I've made this video, I've put a thumbnail together, and the thumbnail probably says the top 9 biggest stereotypes. The top, that sounds awful. Make it like the 9 biggest stereotypes that the Thais have about us. Kind of insightful. A couple real surprises in there, honestly, and they think that. Why would this matter? 1, I'm having a little fun. 2, you can have a little fun. 3, knowing what they think, knowing what another person thinks does kind of help you understand them a little bit, put you in their shoes a little bit. I'll just jump right in. The first one's a pretty obvious one, that we're all rich. They really think that. The less familiar with foreigners that a Thai is, the more they're inclined to think we're just super rich. The more familiar with us they are, then the more they understand that different countries have different pensions and such. I've gotten a good earful from a bunch of people here, and I'm not going to name them, it doesn't matter, but some countries definitely have some fairly small pensions, some countries have some bigger ones. So far, the U.S. seems to have one of the bigger ones, and it goes up every year, which is nice, and you don't lose it because you're overseas, or have any penalties for being overseas. So, as much as people my age and my demographic love to complain about Social Security and retirement pensions and such in the United States, I'm a U.S. citizen. Honestly, it's as much as it isn't perfect, it's just definitely one of the absolute better ones. So, but they think we're rich, and that can be a lot of baggage. That can be problems for you. And what's rich here? It depends on where here is. So, and I'm in kind of the south central, part of the Isan region. Which is one of the poorer, some people say maybe the poorest, doesn't matter, it's not a competition, regions in Thailand. Here, 90,000 baht a month, about 2,700 US, which is, I talk about in my book a fair bit, makes you quite wealthy here, makes you really quite wealthy. And if you can't manage your budget on that, it is your fault. I'll say that. You absolutely can manage a very, very, very comfortable retirement here on that. I in terms of, I have 2 pensions, okay, and some people have, guys have between 1 and 4 that typically, some guys come here with no pension, and that's not really a good idea, but that's a whole other kettle of fish. But most guys have between 1 and 4. I'd say 1 or 2 pensions is real common, and I live on one of mine, and I kind of just let the other one kind of sit, and I use pieces of it as I need here and there. Like for working on dribs and drabs, working on my my house construction, which I've been working on it for about a year, and I've gotten the land filled and rough graded, not final finish graded, and I've got the wall 90% built. And in a year, I've accomplished that. And that could have all been done in 2 months, but it took me a year. So there you go. On that, I got all that. I live, but other than all that stuff, I live very comfortably on my one pension. I call it my first one, whatever. And that one is just about 90 grand a month, something like that. It's in that range. And which is interesting because that's right about what Usani was saying makes you really quite wealthy. And this kind of came up because she has a friend that has that specific amount that she knows quite well and knows it's, I guess, a real amount, not just a brag. And that lady lives really, really, really comfortably and lives really nicely, So on that pension and with a little bit of savings, yeah, you are kind of rich here, okay? But they think it's all of us, and then you got to watch that. It becomes a great big pile of baggage. You go to dinner. If you're not with the right people, they're going to always want you to pay. They're going to always expect you to pay. I argue with my Thai friends over that I want to pay because I know they can't afford dinner. And they still are trying to pay. That's what's called a good person. You should get some of those in your life. Highly recommend. The second, these are kind of big stereotypes, big common ones. The second one I have is that foreigners cannot speak Thai. The Thais generally will assume you absolutely cannot speak Thai and not really speak it. Beyond saying, Sawadi Camp or something, or, Hong Nam Yu Tinai, where's the bathroom or something. Beyond, maybe speaking more than the average foreigner, maybe 20 phrases. If you do that, you're even doing better than most guys, I think. But anything beyond that, they assume absolutely no go, not happening. And so they will tend to talk right about you, that wart on the end of your nose, or why you're fat, And that they will. I'm not trying to be mean. They will. They'll literally say that. Like, why is he fat? You know. Um, you know, and I make fun of myself. I was heavy, overweight, significantly overweight, almost my entire life. So, anyways, but no, they'll do that right to your face because they know you can't understand them, and they love doing that. They love gossiping about each other, and we're super convenient to gossip about because they don't have to wait to go home. They can do it right while you're here. So it's not a hate. It's not intended to be mean that I can in any way figure out at all. And I believe me, I've looked at that one. And it just is. And but they assume you absolutely cannot speak Thai at all, and 99% of the time they're right. I have a couple friends that speak Thai extremely well. I'm known as a real good speaker, and I got a couple friends that are way beyond me. A couple friends that are fluent actually, and the Thais were just amazed. Anyway, so that's that. So there's another big stereotype. Oh, here's kind of a sad one to say, but it tends to be true. They talk about foreigners having body odor, being kind of smelly, and that's true. I've mentioned this many times on the channel. Haven't said it in a while, so I'm probably overdue to give it a light repeat. The hygiene standard and the cleanliness standards here are sky high. You are expected to just light touch up your clothes with an iron as you walk out the door. You are expected to take a bare minimum of 2 scrubbing, like a delusifying type nuclear radiation incident scrubbing shower twice a day. Time in, don't let body hair accumulate. I have a clip where I set short and I just clip my hair short. I'm not going to shave my body like a bodybuilder. I'm not doing that, but I'll clip it. It is cooler. It is noticeably cooler. I'll tell you when I clip it. And then I notice I'm noticeably more comfortable when I go back out the door. It does feel nice. So useful tip. But the stereotype is we're kind of smelly. So for you, if you're dating, what that means, and they use powder, and they sell the powder at every single store here. You get some of the menthol type powders or whatever you like. Snake brand is really nice, and then there's a Protex. Anyways. You always want to accidentally, like this doesn't have a V, but if you've got an open shirt, button down, or a V-neck, I'm a big V-neck guy, just not wearing one today by happenstance, unfortunately. I will just, by pure coincidence, splash an accidental perfect amount of powder just up where you can just see it, letting everybody know I'm not one of those stinky guys. I use powder. That obviously means I just bathed, and that just goes a long way. Why would you care? Either one, you don't have to care. It's your choice, but you are in Rome. You might want to consider doing as the Romans do. And 2, if you're not buying into the other stereotypes, there's some others on here that are a little bit negative. I'm telling you, and I talk about this a lot in my book, you really want to differentiate yourself from other foreigners if you're going to attempt to date and attract a nice lady. Or you can make it all about money, and you can look at the news reports and on the internet and see how that works out for most people. Go to the website Flying Falang. I don't know if it's .com or what. I think it's more complicated than that. But Flying, and then Falang is Farang. You can Google it and search it. It's ugly. And I'm not being glib about that at all. That's an ugly website, but it's true. And you probably should know about that. Those are guys that get really depressed because they haven't done well here, and they've gotten their heart broken, and probably a lot of information that we talk about here would have benefited them. But definitely differentiate yourself from other foreigners, and not just Western white guy foreigners like me. We have a particularly interesting reputation here. Lots of baggage and stuff, but there's all kinds of other foreigners here, and they all have their stereotypes, and if you play against all that and show yourself, hey, I'm an individual, my name is whatever, and this is what I'm about, you're way better off. Okay, enough about that. The other one, demanding. We make demanding boyfriends and husbands, and that's true. These are so far all true. Lots of Thai women, I hear them talking about they've got a Thai or a foreign boyfriend or husband, and they insist on home-cooked breakfast of their home food from their, Germany or Italy or wherever. In the mornings, they want Italian food or German food, every day or almost every day. They barely eat any Thai food. I don't know why you're coming to Thailand if you don't like Thai food. You might want to think about that one. I don't know. If it's all about cost, go to Cambodia, or the Philippines, I guess. But anyways, demanding, and I try to work against that too with Fawn. Now I expect certain things, and yeah, I'm old, and as we old, we can get grumpy, and I got to fight being grumpy with myself and all that. But I also do support her quite a bit, and I make that very public because the Thai women like that. They don't get a whole lot of that. This culture is quite hard on them, as I'm always saying, and I'm always beating that drum, and you should always be hearing that drum be beaten. The culture is really hard on them, and any little bit of public and overt, ostensible, visible support you can show goes tenfold with them. That's an easy one, and it's sort of like the nice thing to do, right? So anyways, there's that. Demanding. This one was shocking to me. I really was surprised. Childish. Particularly us Western white men are known to be childish. Where that comes from is our temper. Again, I'll use Kunpa as an example as a traditional good Thai Buddhist, okay? I've seen him upset twice. He wasn't throwing anything. His voice was a little louder than normal. It wasn't crazy, in no way threatening. I mean, when I'm really upset, I'm like threatening. I'm scary. Nothing like that. And he had very good reason both times, okay? But otherwise, even-keeled. Thais are very even-keeled. We're not. We tend to be more emotional, and when we get upset, we get loud, and the big hand gestures, and the body movements, and the stomping, and the screaming, and the waving, and they don't look at that as, well, they do look at it as threatening to a point, which is not good, because they're going to go, if you threaten a Thai man, he will literally go get 9 of his friends, and then they will fight you. And I don't know if I've ever even heard of a story of a Western person winning a fight with a Thai. I think we have a 0 and however many there are record, because they always win because they just recruit more people until they win. It's like the second John Wick movie, or it's like the second Matrix movie where the Agent Smith keeps adding on more. It's like that. You're not winning that. You're not Keanu Reeves. I'm not. Neither are you. But anyway, so no, we're childish, and that really diminishes our credibility individually. And I work on that because I can have a little bit of a temper. I'm not a temperamental guy. I've had many friends compliment me on being even-keeled, but I can blow my stack from time to time, and I can get angry, and I have a big voice, and that isn't always really, often it really isn't good here. So I work on that. That's my baggage. I work on that. Anyway, so childish, interesting, huh? Stereotype, another one these are all true. Maybe just pick true ones. We're better educated. They're well aware that we have educational opportunities that are not available to the average Thai. Having said that, and I wish I could remember the name. There's one particular university here. I want to say it's in Bangkok. Where else would it be? They call it the Harvard of Thailand or something. It, I believe, ranks higher than, like, I went to Michigan State University. I believe it ranks quite a bit higher than that internationally. There are some high schools and prep schools for the universities that would, and my high school was number 2 in the state for the state of Michigan the year I graduated. And I guess there's some private schools here. They're 40,000 US a year. And they would eclipse that. So there are top, but that's like the elite. That's the guy that runs the place for the whole country or something. That's his boys going there. So it's the elite doing that. But you're not going to run across those people too often. The real Chonsoon people, I don't know if I've ever seen one. I'm here with the regular folks. And on a regular basis, my MSU degree is like Harvard out here, I've had educators here in private tell me that a college degree here is equivalent to our 9th grade or something. That's what they said, their words. I don't know if that's true, but there's some perspective, okay? But we're known to be very well educated, at least potentially. Other stereotype that's true most of the time anyways, we retire our Thai wives. When we take a Thai wife, we retire her. She quits her job, she's done, she's retired. She now begins her life of luxury. That's one you want to pay attention to. A lot of women, that's very attractive. If you imagine a woman from a poor country, such as Thailand, for example, maybe she's marginalized in her own culture. Perhaps she's divorced already and has a child. She's undateable. She's totally ineligible to date in her own culture that she's worked her whole life for. That might not feel very good to some people. You could imagine that. And she might dream of retiring by marrying a foreign guy. So you could understand that. Fawn and I have talked about this many times. Fawn has no interest in doing that. She's proud to be her own woman. I'm proud of her for doing that. It gives me more time. It's great that she would shag after me all day long and make sure I have my sandwich the way I want, order all my food for me everywhere I go. And that's nice. That's great, bodyguard service. That's great. But I don't need that. And I like my me time anyways. I can go get my workout on my own. I can go get my lunch on my own. I can order my own food most of the time. Ordering food in Thailand is very difficult, and the Thais have trouble with it. So if you screw up your order, you've been speaking Thai for 3 years, you still screw up your order, don't feel bad. I get Thais helping me order, and they can't get it right. So it's obviously difficult. Okay? They have a million words for all this, by the way. This is my favorite stereotype, and it's so true. It's, as far as I know, it's true 80 or 90% of the time. Foreign guys, someone like Western foreigners like myself in particular, we find our Thai girlfriends and wives in bars. We meet them as go-go dancers, bar girls. If you're not familiar, a bar girl is a girl that does get your beer for you, get a drink for you. They're on usually a 50 baht or so commission per drink, so they'll be pushing those drinks, but they offer sex services. Often at a room on site, and then you can what's called pay a bar fine. The other channels cover all this stuff. I think that's the second time I've said bar fine in 2 years, but you can learn that somewhere else. But you can pay that fine, and then I'm not saying it a third time, and then take her home for a long or a short time or whatever whatever you want to figure out that is. But that's a whole other kettle of fish. That's not what I'm talking about. But the overwhelming majority, and a lot of guys don't know that their wives are sex workers. They have no idea that they were or still are or whatever. And jokes on everyone, I guess, with that stuff. But you might want to find that one out. That might be an important one. But yeah, that we find them in a bar. That's, from everything I've seen, that's at least 80% of the time, probably 90. I know when Fawn meets her, reconnects with old friends, haven't seen her in a while. Fawn's not a bragger. Most of Fawn's friends don't know that we've spent, a third of a million baht on a wall and filling her land so far, and it's almost done, and we're going to start the house. Like, she just won't brag. She's not like that. She's same as her parents, just a traditional, humble, Thai Isan Buddhist young lady. Okay, good for them. All right, that's fine. So she hasn't bragged that she's got a foreign fiance, me. And when they meet us together, they're surprised, and they literally ask her, "Oh, which bar were you working at when you found him?" Seriously, they can't even imagine finding a foreign guy outside of a bar. That's one of the big reasons women go to the bar, is to find a foreign husband. Literally, to find a husband. Anyway, so that's a stereotype, and don't dismiss that one, please. That is really, really true. And I think that was my list. Yeah, that's the last one. Yeah, that's it. If I think of something else, I'll let you know. I did want to circle back and kind of, maybe I'll put this part at the beginning, but I was having my coffee and studying some Thai today, and it's being pretty lazy. Actually, I was drawing my house foundation plan. I was supposed to be studying Thai, and I finally figured out my foundation plan that I like. I came up with a plan that works, and it's really simple, and it's a simple two-dimensional grid that you can lay out in your sleep and probably won't get screwed up in construction. That's hard. It's hard to design a house and make it simple enough to actually execute in Thailand, but I did. Anyways, while I was finalizing that and having my light bulb moment as how that foundation could work, the foreigner, Fulan, walks in. He walks right by my table and looks at me, so I just nod and say hi, and he kind of mumbled something, like didn't even mumble a hi, just kind of and walked on. Okay, and it's the morning, orders a tall beer and goes sits out front. And he's just the stereotype. He's got this big, loose, grubby, dirty t-shirt on, these loose shorts. He's dirty. I absolutely hadn't showered yet in the day. It was 10:30 or something in the morning. I don't know where he came from. And then a whole bunch of Thai men walked in. all in press shirts, different colors, nice long pants, hair styled, shaved. This guy's got 4 or 5 days of stubble. Ugh. You can see where you want to differentiate yourself from the stereotype, right? Because that guy's the poster boy. I mean, if I was really a jerk, I could take a picture of him and put it in here and say, look at this guy. But, you know, maybe he's down on his luck. Maybe his ex-wife cleaned him out. Maybe his partner stole from him or something. So, hey, I did both those. Anyways, you know, but, you know, whatever his excuses would be. But, man, just not a good impression. Just... Man, and I just there's a kind of a famous coffee place in Kolat, and I don't go there. The coffee is supposed to be good, but I don't go there because it has a reputation, and the reputation is the Fulan go there and hang out and just do-took the Thais. I mean, and this is like widely known. I mean, even if it isn't true, they all believe it to be true. I think it is probably true, but even if it weren't, I wouldn't go sit there. Fun would be hurt, you know, and I wouldn't do that. Man, just don't be those guys, man. Just be your own person. Jesus, such a great opportunity. I'm cleaning myself up. I just took, I gained a couple kilos, but I've got it almost all back off again now. I'm back down, the six-pack showing pretty good. Here, I've turned 60 in a month and with my broken back, and I've got plans to maybe do a resurgery next year. I got rehab goals all this year to rehab before the surgery so I go in strong as possible. You know, I mean, I'm setting up goals and doing stuff. I'm living a life. I got a good friend of mine from home wants to do kind of a second honeymoon out here. Fawn and I are talking about traveling with him through Chiang Mai this fall. That'd be freaking beautiful, you know. I mean, versus just sinking to your like lowest denominator, you know, of just achieving nothing every day. I don't know. Maybe it's just my weightlifting friends, which is a lot of my friends. You know, it's all about accomplishment, self-improvement, and it's just that leaks in a good way into every aspect of your life, you know, because you're making your body better all the time, and now in my case with the pain and everything, there's real motivation behind it. But anyways, there's 9 true stereotypes, I guess I could say, about us here, and when someone looks at you, that's what's going through their head. Just so you know, that's what goes through their head, and it's up to you to dispel some of that if you want. That's on you. So, good luck. That's it. Thanks. Hey, bud. Good morning. Hopefully you're all safe and sound over at Sam's place. Here's a video for both you guys if you want. This is first morning I walked over to Fawn's property where I'll build my tiny house, and I'll start it like in the winter. So it's gonna just let the rainy season settle this ground all this year. I'll buy a few trees. Trees are not as cheap as you'd think, but they're still way cheaper than back home, like still way cheaper, so, you know, whatever. But there's a sunrise coming up over those pine trees there, and I'm standing on right about where my front porch will be, maybe, you know, completed a year from now or something. And again, it's a tiny little house with just a big shade, like a 3-car garage size shade thing off to the side where I can do my rehab and exercises when I don't feel like going to the gym or whatever. Such as yesterday, I rode my motorcycle to the gym and Fawn forgot to warn me that it's a national holiday. I had no idea. I don't know when our holidays are, and it was Friday. And the road's really busy and people are driving crazy. I'm like, what the heck? I ended up just putting in the slow end of the slow lane, because lanes have lanes within them, if you follow me. I was on the slow side of the slow lane behind a big fat truck. I just putted behind him. Thank God his exhaust was on the right and I was on his left. So I was nice clean air and nobody bothering me. But for a while there, I'm in the middle lane and I'm like, what the heck is going on? So enough of that. Anyways, good morning. Gee whiz, I just popped back in home to get some stuff to wash my motorcycle with. Kind of hang out with Kunpa a little bit in this lovely cool morning. And Fawn left me my favorite breakfast, so with the beans, the dua si dang, yeah, bean red, and man, I'm gonna sit here and eat my hot breakfast. Yeah, good old Thailand. Yeah, there we are. My name is Rob, and thank you for supporting my YouTube channel. I meant every word I just said with respect.